see me, you Stevie, wondering how I reach more evolutions than Eevee and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blur Without Fear. Welcome back to the channel. Alright, today's video, I'm going to be talking about Monica Rambeau Photon #1 by Eve L. Ewing, Ivan Fiorelli, and Luca Maresca. This issue is something that I have been waiting on for quite some time. For those that don't know, I'm a huge fan of the character of Monica Rambeau. I'm a huge fan of the Captain Marvel mythos, and a lot of that is largely due to my introduction to the character of Monica Rambeau when I was a kid. Back when I was a kid, she was, in fact, Captain Marvel, albeit the reasonings behind why she was Captain Marvel made no real actual sense, and was honestly more pandering to get more black readership back in the day. The same thing trolls on Twitter and other social media websites complain about till this very day when they feel like they're being pandered to, or that the company that they buy stuff from is pandering to people that aren't them. But yeah, that's exactly what it was. But nonetheless, she's still one of my favorite Captain Marvels. I actually often say she is tied as my favorite Captain Marvel with Carol Danvers, but that's neither here nor there. Point of the matter is that for the longest time, Monica Rambeau's never had a comic of her own. A lot of people will tend to point out that what is technically considered volume 2 of the Captain Marvel comics has 2 Captain Marvel issues that are largely focused on Monica Rambeau. Neither one of those were ongoing series. They were just 2 separate one-shots that didn't really even have much to do with one another. Monica has largely been relegated to teen books, and what I do love about this is that she's getting her own series. Now granted, I believe this is only going to be a limited series. It's only going to run for 5 issues, but maybe if sales are good, they will upgrade it to an ongoing series if there is demand for it. But I don't want to put the cart before the horse on this one. The real thing to love about this opening first issue is that Monica sounds like a real living, breathing person. Now, I'm not surprised by that because I'm a huge fan of Eve L. Ewing's work, and one of my favorite things that Eve L. Ewing ever did was her Riri Williams Ironheart series. It's a series I talk about all the time, and whenever people try and tell me that they hate the character of Riri Williams, they think she's a terribly written character, I always say, go read Riri Williams Ironheart by Eve L. Ewing, and 99.9999% of the time, I always get people who come back and say, dude, you were right. I don't know why I didn't like this character any sooner. And it's because Eve L. Ewing tends to write characters, especially black characters, who sound authentic because Eve L. Ewing is in fact a black woman. And the way that she writes characters like Riri Williams, and now in this case, Monica Rambeau, they feel like people you would actually know. If you are a black woman or have black women in your life, everything that Monica Rambeau says in this issue will sound like something you have probably heard them say. It feels real, it feels natural, it doesn't feel like forced dialogue, it doesn't feel like someone who has never hung out with or have ever even been in the same room as a black person. It doesn't sound like that's the person who's writing this comic. This is someone who actually gets it, because this is someone who is of the diaspora and is actually handling business here. And honestly, this is the best case scenario for all parties involved, because one of the things I have often said, and I think I said this a long time ago in a video that I made talking about the characters of Blue Marvel and Monica Rambeau in tandem with one another, is that if it were ever midnight in a perfect world and I could have a book that focused on Monica Rambeau and Blue Marvel, the person who I'd want to write it is Eve L. Ewing, and that's exactly almost kind of what I got. Anyone who is hoping for Blue Marvel to show up in this book, don't hold your breath, because Eve L. Ewing shut it down pretty quick. And in this first issue, even a point talking about how Blue Marvel is too old to be dating Monica Rambeau. For those not unfamiliar, Blue Marvel is a character who has longevity. He looks like he's in his late 30s, maybe early 40s, maybe. But truth be told, he's actually a fair bit older than that. The guy was literally walking around as a superhero in his prime in 1962 when he was first outed as being a black man. No one knew Blue Marvel was a black man under that white mask. So yeah, technically, it's not an unfair statement. He is actually too old for Monica Rambeau. Hence why he's not in this book and why it's made fairly obvious Monica's not dating anyone. Monica's just living her life, and while there's not really a whole heap of a lot going on in this first issue that's gonna like set the world on fire, it's largely just introducing people who are unfamiliar with Monica Rambeau or only know what little they do know about her from the WandaVision series, and maybe in some ways reintroducing people to Monica Rambeau who maybe are fallen off from the character. Like, there is a lot of fan service and moments. There's actually one particular page that I thought was really heartwarming. That was an elderly black woman just gushing over the fact that Monica Rambeau used to be Captain Marvel, and how regardless of whatever name Monica Rambeau chooses, because she has been different names, she has been Captain Marvel, she has also been Photon, Pulsar, and Spectrum, and now back to being Photon again. And Lady says, I don't care what your name is, you'll always be Captain Marvel to me. And that's a sentiment I've actually heard many people say and share with me in videos where I have talked about Monica Rambeau. It seemed like such an awesome thing. But the main thing that's going to push the narrative on this story is that Monica Rambeau is fated to destroy the universe. A woman by the name of Dr. Yesenia Rosario, a character that Eve L. Ewing first introduced in her 2019 Marvel Team-Up series, and a character, as Spider-Man points out in this issue, was such a down-to-earth and good-hearted person who didn't seem unhinged, and suddenly is now a whole supervillain who is acting incredibly unhinged, which is made even more funny by the fact that her supervillain name is Hinge. But the thing that is interesting here is that yes, she believes Monica Rambeau is going to be responsible for the destruction of the universe. And while there are other plot points that are brought up, like the Stone of Hala that was introduced in Eve L. Ewing's Riri Williams series, a powerful magical artifact that was stolen from the Sanctum Sanctorum that Monica returns to the Sanctum Sanctorum in this issue, I have a feeling that is going to play some kind of a factor into this, maybe somewhere down the stretch. But Monica does something that eerily reminds me of something we saw Barry Allen do in the DC Comics universe regarding Flashpoint. And this may be what Dr. Rosario was talking about when she accused Monica of destroying the universe. And at the end of this comic, after all of these different things come up, things are going on in her personal life, her talking with her parents and learning that her cousin is going through some incredibly hard times, and even realizing that she herself is going through some mental health issues and that maybe she just needs a break. She ends up flying off into space and even says the words, I think I just need some space. But as she does so, she's flying incredibly fast. And for those unfamiliar with how Monica Rambeau's powers work, Monica can become any aspect of the electromagnetic spectrum. It doesn't matter if it's light, X-rays, gamma rays, microwaves, whatever. She can become those things, literally. And when she becomes light, she can move as fast as light can move. I'm not saying that this is what's gonna happen here, but I get this sneaking suspicion that while she's taking her little flight into space, the first thing I thought of is she's gonna f around and time travel by accident. Now, once again, not saying that this is going to be the case, but Eve L. Ewing does bring up some things in this comic to remind you of her history, going back to that infamous moment in Avengers number 293, where she came into contact with water while using her powers and was completely robbed of her ability to use her powers for quite some time. Something that was a very silly aspect of the comic, and Eve L. Ewing takes a couple of points here in this issue to point out how stupid that story arc was. And what actually lends a lot of credence to the fact that maybe she did mess around in time travel is that the solicit for the next issue kind of brings up that she somehow thrusted herself into the wrong corner of the space-time continuum. So yeah, I'm thinking Monica Rambeau just might have created her own version of Flashpoint. We'll have to wait for issue number 2 to find out, but I'm very curious to see what happens with her next. I'm glad that she's finally getting a series. It took her this long. This woman has been in comics since December of 1982, where she made her first appearance in the Amazing Spider-Man annual number 16. And it has taken her this long to finally get her own comic. And if you're not keeping count, that's roughly 40 years later. Before you get out of here, we're getting really close to 75,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already, hit subscribe, tap that bell so you get notifications on every video, and Hulk smash that like button and share me all over the internet like I'm a viral sensation. But anyways, let me know what you thought about the first issue of Monica Rambeau, Photon. Keep it plus ultra and sound off in the comments.